Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again. The most trying hours are front, after lunch. But we have arranged some new nice speakers and examples. You see best practices in your program. But let's take first a look at the results of the second question in our workshop with Lucien. Did you remember? That was the question of devices into 30. Great. Automatic robots, virtual reality, wearables, glass devices, 3D printers, glasses all over, gadgets, monitoring, keyword here, coaching. You get it at your homes when you're back. The third one is also ready. The ladies work so hard. A big applause for the ladies who did this. Yeah! What's this? This is still the second one. Yeah, the new and old jobs. So drivers are out of business. Drivers of anything, I heard some discussion. Drivers of buses, trucks, taxis. Because we have smart autos, smart mobiles. Smart automobiles. Nurses, there were some questions about that. Are they still there or not? At my table, we'll close down the medical schools. What do we see more? No managers needed anymore. If you are a manager, you will be a new kind of manager, directing and coaching your people through your own eyeglass, as though you were on the spot, but you can manage hundreds of people in that way. Like get the photograph of the nurse, you have a panel as a manager, directing your people through your earphones, perhaps even monitoring their stress levels, because you have that also in that wearables. Great. Something else to see? No bookkeeping anymore. What's a financial man from Sweden out of job? Bank clerks, radiologists, because it's all by devices. Yeah. Mechanics of cars, why shoot it? Robots will do that. Where are the new jobs here? I'm looking for it. Coaches in any kind. Get people digitalized. Okay, that's real world coming in. Thank you for the mind. Thank you for this. And then we have some results from our visual reporters. You might have taken a look at the mood board, but alongside our Valerie has done some films. And we have now a compilation of this morning. There we go.
Nou, ik ben hier vanmorgen omdat alle informatie welkom is en de technologieontwikkelingen gaan zo hard.
Sorry, some is in Dutch.
Essentieel is om gewoon je hoofd te blijven. Oké. Het begin is er.
Hey, jij was al op zoek naar mij, hoorde ik.
Again, you see the resistance building up in the group at the point in time, even when, again, somebody breaks through the lines, even the unions will step up. And
there is some room for questions. I don't will address Christina in the front row, so ask me not to do that.
I'd like to ask about the technology and different kind of apps. We're coming from Finland, and the healthcare system is state and or publicly funded and publicly led. And if people have several apps and several products, let's say from Apple or Samsung or Android devices, how these this kind of all the information can be kind of controlled? Or is it needed to be controlled if the public service is still providing the data?
Zeer interessant, zoals hij een blik terugwaarts werkt, maar vooral vooruit. En ja, zelf betrokken bij software binnen de zorg. En dan zie je dus heel veel parallel aan het lopen. En echt met de ontwikkelingen wat hij schetst zijn we bezig. En dan zie je gelijk de visie en praktijk bij elkaar komen.
Kind of old format system when you go directly to the doctor and any healthcare service you can get into the hospital or only like this. Well, we do have some new clinics and we do have a lot of good doctors, with good quality that they provide, but this is totally new, that we don't have it. We don't have anything like this, back in our code.
Thank you, group member, for the next room.
So the thing we're going to do is a bit like speed dating. For the next 10 minutes, and we wrote down the question already on two of the flip overs already, you will start writing down how elderly care will look like in 2050. And not 2030, not 2020, 2050. And what you'll be doing in the next 10 minutes is writing the headlines of the newspaper on January 1st, 2050.
Dus iedereen op post-it zeg maar ideeën opschrijven.
Great, Valerie. Thank you. Applause for Valerie. Perhaps the rest in English for all of this also. That's great. Perhaps I should state, if any one of you doesn't feel free enough to be on such videos, please come up to us and we might skip that part. Some of you might be a little, but I think it's out in the open. But just to give you the opportunity, if you think, oh, I don't want to be on film, just mention it. Yeah, and then we don't do it. With you. Great. Two best practices to go on. Mind-boggling again. The first one will be by Isabel Fabricotti. I'll introduce her shortly. As a nice best practice of the theme of this morning, robots. And then we have to switch our minds to all kinds of new territories as a bridge to the afternoon sessions, but well, you experience what's going on then. Interesting enough? Isabel. Isabel is a colleague of mine. She was one of my first PhDs in Rotterdam. She got her PhD on integrated care, is now associate professor at our institute, Health Policy and Management in Rotterdam at the Erasmus University. She is the principal teacher in all kinds of courses in the bachelor and our master programs. But also in this region she does an awful lot of research. Some even known in Europe for best practice, for instance for integrated care in the practices of general practitioners in this region. And her example about this robot is from a new European project, ACRA it's called. And she's the lead in the Netherlands part of this project. And this robot will be tested in this region with elderly to adapt all kinds of new technologies and ideas and support systems from a robot into the homes of the elderly. So I'm looking forward also to this presentation, and let's see how things work out. Isabel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Robert. No, I prefer now a headset. I always feel like I have to sing when I wear a headset. Thank you so much for letting me speak here today. It's really an honor to meet you all. I heard it's the final symposium, so I hope you're enjoying your stay in the Netherlands. As Robert said, my name is Isabella Fabricotti. It's an Italian name, but I'm very sorry. Ciao, Italy. I don't speak Italian. I'm very sorry. I do have a film in Italian in it, so there's at least something. I have to push the green button. It doesn't work. Okay. As Robert said, I'm one of the project leaders of a new project, so it's not a best practice yet, but I hope it will be in the future. I will tell you something about the background of the project, what the project entails, and some challenges we are facing. Well, the background, I will say very shortly, you already know it: aging population, shrinking workforce, overburdened informal caregivers, necessitate new ways of organizing care, and one of the ways that is coming up in the world is robotics, is using robots as companions or instead of formal caregivers, to make sure that the elderly can age in place, and to make sure that the informal caregiver gets less burdened. So this is also the background of our project, the ACRA project. ACRA means Agile Co-Creation of Robots for Aging. So it's a fast co-creation process to develop robots to help elderly in 3 domains. The first one is mobility. Then the robot is a kind of a support and coach for walking, to support the elderly in their daily life activities, for instance housework, and as a companion for conversation. Then it's more a socialization tool for the elderly. It is a European project. Besides the Netherlands, also France is participating, Italy is participating, and Japan, Japanese people from Kyoto, Connect DOT and the Kyoto University in Japan. Very difficult to understand them. I always wonder if we're on the same page, but we will see. And of course here you see, I don't know how you say it in English, I will say Wi-Fi Ozor. I don't know, but that's the place here. That's why I am here, because this is the place where we are going to test our robots. These are the robots that we are going to test and develop. So they already exist, but we are going to make them better, we hope. I will first show you Astro. Astro is from Italy, and I have a little film. Unfortunately, the film starts with this, and this takes about 25 seconds. I'm not able to go forward, so I'll keep talking a little bit while you can read what the objectives are of Astro. We are not going to use the robot Astro, but his grandson, we call him, because he's already been modified a little bit, so he looks nicer, but the functionalities are the same as you will see here.
Astro. Ayahuasca. Girati.
Ciao Pine Astro, vorrei ricordarle di prendere i suoi medicinali. Li ha già presi? Per favore risponda con sì o no. No. Per favore prenda adesso i suoi medicinali.
Astro? Girati. Astro?
Buongiorno signora, come sta?
Sto stanca.
Le serve bisogno di un aiuto?
Un aiuto per ritirarmi su dal letto.
Allora faccio girare il robot.
Va bene, grazie.
So this is Astro, one of the first robots that we're going to develop and use. Just a little question. What do you think Astro should be able to do more than what it can do now for the elderly? And why? Marike.
I think it should be able to move faster and respond also at a distance. So why should she come first if you call her?
Very nice, thank you. Somebody else? Yeah, that's it.
Live.
Okay. Well, the person in bed said, I'm a little bit tired. So she tells the robot a feeling, and the robot's response is like, do you need help? But I'm a nurse, I will ask, why are you tired? Have you had a bad dream, or is it a feeling, something happened? Maybe your blood sugar is too low. Well, that's, I think, a robot should do.
Okay.
So responds on feelings.
A robot responding to feelings. No, but you're right, you're absolutely right. So, some nice examples. I asked this question because this is part of our methodology that we are going to use. This is the methodology. We are starting with a need analysis, then we go forward with a phase of agile co-creation, then we have some experimentation, and then we do a sustainability analysis. Well, the need analysis is actually a little bit what I just did with you, just asking what should the robot be able to do? What are the needs of the elderly? What behaviors are they having now? And what are the expectations of robotica? And what would they want help with? And we also do some contextual analysis because we are going to test Astro in 2 countries, in Italy and here. We are going to do that by using interviews with the elderly, formal caregivers and informal caregivers to have different viewpoints about what Astro should be able to do. Based on that, they're going to build prototype 1. Well, there actually is a prototype 1, but let's say it's the next prototype. And that prototype will be assessed in an agile co-creation process. What we are going to do is, the robot will be used for a specific amount of time by the elderly. Then we have some focus group with the elderly, the informal caregiver, the technicians, the formal caregivers, and we are asking the same questions as I just did. What should the robot be able to do more? What did you like? What didn't you like? And based on those results, the technicians will continue to develop the robot further. And we will do that in 3 rounds, in 9 months. So for instance, first it can only pick up an object that is on the floor. Second, it will be able to retrieve an item from a table. And maybe the last prototype will be able to retrieve something from a higher position. That is Robot 1, or Astra Robot 1. The other robot that we're going to test is Buddy. And Astra was really for walking, to help people with the walking and rehabilitation. Buddy will be used to help people with the socialization process and with their daily life activities. I will show you a longer video about Buddy. He will be your friend, you will love him.
Buddy is always there for what really matters. He reminds you of important tasks and events on your agenda.
Wake up, Blackwell. Don't forget, it's Mom's birthday today. Buddy, turn on the lights. Let's go wake up Juliet. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. Happy birthday.
Buddy makes your post-it board come alive. He can assist with messaging and relay the right message to the right family member.
Buddy, remind Mom not to come back home before 8 o'clock.
Buddy is a hands-free helper, always there when you need him. He can suggest recipes while you're cooking.
The Nutella pancakes.
Read your messages.
Don't worry, I'll come early to take care of everything.
Play your favorite playlist when you ask him.
Play my favorite playlist.
Or even answer your call.
Okay, Buddy, take the call. Okay, I'm leaving now. See you in half an hour.
Buddy is watching your house. He patrols your home while you're away and alerts you when detecting any unusual situation. He can also manage all your connected devices. He automates your home and life by connecting to your devices fitness trackers, locks, switches, and thermostats.
Darn, did I turn off my oven?
He brings you peace of mind. Buddy, can you help Mathilde? Buddy is an edutainment companion.
7 times 7.
He allows your child to learn through play, such as practicing times tables while having fun.
Perfect. Good work.
Thanks, Buddy.
My pleasure. Ben.
Buddy is your best shot. He captures special moments and can send them directly by email or by social networks. He detects when you smile for a picture or video, sees and tracks through his camera to recognize your face.
Call Grandma to show her Mom's birthday cake.
Thanks, Buddy. Follow me.
Buddy keeps your loved ones close to each other. He allows you to communicate with your loved ones, being there with them for moments that count.
Hello, Grandma. Buddy, send the birthday cake picture.
With Buddy, it seems more like the other person is there with you. Buddy ensures the well-being of senior citizens at home through social interaction, by providing assistance, and by reminding or monitoring.
It's nice.
Bye, sweetheart. Okay, see you soon.
Bye, Grandma. Let's play hide and seek. Why? Always me.
Buddy is a player.
49, 48.
He plays hide and seek. At the end of the day, he can be a storyteller.
The two ferocious dragons smiled at each other and kissed.
Later, they flew home to their castle and get married.
Buddy is part of your everyday life. He is your butler, your watchdog, or just your friendly companion.
Oh, don't we all want Buddy? We are going to have 10 buddies here in Zealand for 9 months to experiment on. Well, actually it's 18 months because for 9 months it's the agile co-creation process. Because as you saw, it's mainly a gadget, usually for children or families, and they want to customize it more for the elderly. So that's what we're going to do in the agile co-creation process, and we get a better body back that will be tested 2 times for a month amongst 10 elders, 5 living here and 5 living at home. Astro will also be tested here at the rehabilitation ward, and it will be driving around where you just had lunch or in one of the galleries. Actually, we as researchers are already fighting over Buddy because we want to have him in our homes too for a week. So we're going to do that. And Robert is part of this project, so Robert, you can also have a buddy if you want. Experimentation. We're going to evaluate it using the MUST model. Maybe you have heard of this model. It assesses technological solutions amongst a variety of aspects that you can find here. We will do that by testing the robots 2 times for a month, and then we will have interviews and questionnaires and focus groups to measure the differences between all sorts of outcomes before the people were using the robots and after. And we also have interviews to know a little bit more about their experiences. As I said, we're going to do this in 4 countries: Japan, the Netherlands, France and Italy. And we will compare our results in order to make final conclusions not only about how Buddy should be developed further and how Astro should be developed further, but also if it is a sustainable solution for the Netherlands and everywhere else in the world. So the third part is a sustainability analysis with comparisons between countries, a market research and some scenario analysis. But we are already encountering some challenges. First of all, an ethical one. Buddy and Astro both are able to store data on the elderly. You can imagine that they can store data on how much an elder walks, how often he watches television, and things like that. So we are still waiting for a response from the ethical committee, which data we can store using the robot. A second one is resistance to robots. There's a lot of resistance amongst formal caregivers who think that they will not be necessary anymore, which is absolutely not true. It will just help them do their work or relieve them from certain tasks. That's what we hope. But also resistance from the elderly themselves. We're still in a generation that has not worked a lot with computers or iPads or iPhones. So we will encounter some resistance amongst the elderly. Then there are, of course, technical boundaries. Probably they will want all kinds of things from Astro and Buddy, which we cannot give them because we only have 9 months to redevelop the robots. And the last one is an insurance issue. How do you get insured from your own robot? For instance, Buddy is cute, but you can trip over him in the evening. Or Astro may be nice for you to take a walk, but what if your most beautiful vase is broken because of Astral. So we're still trying to figure out how this insurance, how we can insure the damages that might be caused by the robot. As I said, we hope it will be a best practice. It's a European Commission project from Horizon 2020. We have two tasks. First of all, the robots, but secondly also evaluating our own methodology. We will be ready in 3 years. We just started, so unfortunately I cannot tell you anything about the results yet. But I hope you will hear from us again somewhere, sometimes, maybe in your own country, because that means that this project was a success. I want to thank you for your attention. These are my other colleagues who are working on this project, and Robert is the professor who is guiding the PhD student at the bottom, so he knows a lot about this project too. Thank you very much, and I wish you a very nice day here in the Netherlands and for the rest of the symposium.
But I did my preparation. It's intriguing. And it gives new possibilities to people. Not close them up in their impairments, like Parkinson, but bringing new things in their experience. And find new ways of communication. With you, as a professional, with their spouse, using music. I think about it here, and then I finish my introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm applause for this man, Joop Rovers.
Good afternoon. Once again, good afternoon. I heard Robert introducing me. He almost told everything, so I don't have to tell you much. Hopefully I had an entrance. Did I have your attention? Yeah? Okay. Good. How many songs I played? Less than 5? Oh, that's good. More than 5? Name them. Peer Gynt, ABBA. Give the others the opportunity. Some more. Finlandia, well, and several more. Anyway, more than 5. I don't know, I didn't count, I did it by head. And I thought I'm not doing it too long, because I don't have that much time. But it was just an idea to show you what music can do. Probably you know, because I guess we all like music. Who hates music? It's possible, but it's very rare. Anyway, we do a lot with music. But music is also not just music. Music is also rhythm, sound, pitch, and it activates a lot in the brain. Actually, music is by far the only activity which activates all lobes in the brain. And as music is close to other lobes, it activates, for example, not just emotion, but also movement. That's why it works. It gives you a cue, a motivator. Sointi teke musi iken. El tono che fa la musica. Det är tonen som gör musiken. C'est la ton qui fait la musique. Het is de toon die de muziek maakt. It's the tone that makes the music. The last one, I don't know the meaning of it, but you saw my intention. It was an imitation of North Korea. And probably this won't work in our Western community. So approach is very important in music and in music therapy. I'm not going to bother you with a PowerPoint presentation, but I like to tell you a few words, not too much. I didn't get it right from Robert, but music is okay. Music therapy, most are maybe familiar with it, but you can do a lot with music therapy. I work here in the psychogeriatric environment and also in the rehabilitation, somatic work, Parkinson, MS, etc. But music therapy is also used in psychotherapy, psychiatry, different word there. Psychiatry, that's it, psychiatry. Sointi, teke, muzieken. Good. There was another one to memorize anyway. And music therapy, it uses music, but I'm also a therapist. And as a therapist, I do a lot with, for example, aphasia. That's more neurologic. I learn people with aphasia, again, speaking by singing. I make melodies out of, hi, I'm John. I make a tune out of it. We rehearse that tune. I support it rhythmically, together with a speech therapist. And there's a certain part, we let them pronounce or say the words what we just sang. And that helps, because are you a bit familiar with the brain? No? Okay. You have two parts, two hemispheres, mostly. Broca, that's the speech area, is on the left. And on the right side, in general, there is music, the soft side actually. It's the same with stuttering. Do you know people who are stuttering? Let them sing, they won't stutter. How come? You use another circuit in the brain. I want to do, so I told you a bit about music therapy. Is it clear to you? More or less? I also treat people with dementia, that's for sure, but with depression, aggression, acceptation problems, people with amputation who have serious mental or physical problems. With music you can do a lot, not just only music, but the combination of therapy, as I am a therapist, and using music in all kinds of its possibilities. Rhythm, sound, body music, I do everything, anything to help people. I want to do a test with you, if you don't mind. And I want to ask you if you want to fill in or to react or to compliment what I'm doing. Wonderful. Oh yeah, yeah. But well, it's very good. But can you also make a melody out of a rhythm? You have to sing now, eh? Last one? Yeah? Mana mana! Okay. Very good. Very good. And you know what the funny part is? Not just you can do that. Also people with dementia can do that. Why? Because the brain of people with dementia shrinks. So especially cognitive functions reduce, diminish. But the good part is that music and long-term, especially music, but in the long-term memory, lasts longer. So you can use music excellently with people with dementia. Not just music, but everything related to music. Music, and as a music therapist, I do work on emotional level, but also on social level, behavior level, cognitive level, and physical level, motor skills. So you can use music and its applications with people in dementia, also other people, but mainly for this workshop and for people with dementia. What also important is in the relation with people with dementia is the contact you have, the approach. And that's a bit of a problem sometimes, because people with dementia don't have, as I told you, their cognitive functions, so it's reducing. So when you, as a caregiver, ask, close the door and come here, for example, they won't understand you properly. Or they might get a bit angry because in the brain there's an amygdala, that's an emotional transmitter, and it regulates our emotions. It's not a punishment actually, but it activates our emotions. It's a sort of a gatekeeper. So you can use parts of the music to challenge and to approach people. And more elements in music, like tempo. Take your time to get in touch with people with dementia. Go with the flow. Don't argue with them, yes or no. You will lose it or they get aggressive, and it's not their fault, it's ours. Because our action is their reaction. So when we are positive and smiley, and we accept them and respect them, and we go with the flow, you get another dimension. What also is important is the approach, that is part of it. And also the atmosphere. How you say something. C'est le ton qui fait la musique. So that's all together. I want to do something else with you. I studied years to play trumpet and still have to practice to get in shape and be in shape. But I'm gonna learn you within a few seconds. I'm gonna learn you within a few seconds how to play an instrument. The kazoo. Do you know the kazoo? Are you familiar with the kazoo? I'll explain to you. Everybody gets his own kazoo. You can keep it. It's a gift. You can practice. I'll tell you what it is and how to work with it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Also, just a second. I'll explain to you. Yeah? I'll explain to you. Everyone has one? Yeah? Everyone has one? Yeah, good. Yeah? Yeah, okay. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, I have your attention again, please. This is
any pictures of this one?
This instrument you also can use. In fact, I'm a multi-instrumentalist and I use a lot of low-profile instruments because the best thing you can do with people, not just elderly, but also children, adults, adolescent people, is not just listening music, it's also good for your brain, but making music is even better, because then all the areas from front till back, left till right are activated. So I use a lot of low-profile instruments. For example, the kazoo. It's a wonderful instrument, invented in America around 1850. It has a small end and a large end, and a membrane in the middle. You just blow on the large end, but when you just blow, nothing comes out except air. And air is just flat arousal. So we have to make it thrill. How do we do that? By humming. Hum. Through the throat, yeah. Last part. Okay. conductor, eh? Stop. Okay. Okay. Now you have just hummed, and you can hum a song. But as you noticed, it's just one long tone. So we can cut it by adding our tongue. And then you say do or da or do, whatever. So when you put the long, the large part in your mouth, not on your teeth but in your mouth, and you hum, and then you say da da or do or do, you can separate the notes. So not just but do. Okay, very good. So you can make variations with it. Eh? That's the next one. You also can use your throat by grumbling. We Dutch, we are famous for our R. I don't know how it's with other languages, but okay, you have it. So we have, just briefly resume, we have the kazoo. We take the large end, open end, we put it in our mouth and we hum. Or when we want to separate the notes, we say do, do, da, da, do, whatever you like. And if you think I'm gonna make some variation, you can grumble by and then you can imitate almost everything. Last time. Okay. To end with, yeah, Max Verstappen. It's also yeah. You can do everything with it, eh? Okay. What has it to do with contact? Well, you notice it, it's funny, it's relaxing, the tension goes out, people get loose. We can use also our own creativity. That's actually a key word, eh? Creativity and flexibility. Go over your own shadow. So finally, I like to do an experiment with you because I never had such a large kazoo orchestra, almost 100 people. But I want to ask you to form some pairs or trio, whatever, and just try to communicate in music with this kazoo to each other. And do it for a while, and I'm gonna try to bend you all together and blend you all together in a rhythmic or maybe in a melodic way on the trumpet, I'm not sure yet. But just start interacting, communicating, talking by kazoo with your peer partner or trio, whatever you like. And as it is an activation, please stand up. Yeah? And we're gonna try. So, get rid of your affair and just start. Okay, there we go.
Thank you very much. And you can keep the kazoo. Well, we go to another theme. It was addressed last night, if you remember, at voluntary work. And we have a professor in that field in the Netherlands, yes, we really do. And his name is Lucas Meijs. Meijs, remember that name. He's a professor in strategic philanthropy and volunteering at the Rotterdam School of Management at the Erasmus University in Rotterdam. I brought along all my Rotterdam friends. Well, we'll see what happens. Basically the same formula as we did with Lucien this morning. So we will give you a presentation. And with that content, we'll do some workshops again in the rooms in the other corridor. So, well, perhaps 3/4 of an hour with his lecture. He is a teacher. But challenge him, interrupt him, question him, do anything to make it as vivid as possible. He's a master in that also. And then afterwards we have our transfer to the multifunctional rooms. Do I need to say more
thanks.
as an introduction?
Thanks, yes.
Okay, then the floor is yours.
Thanks. So, it's a great pleasure being here, coming from Rotterdam. It's an easy train ride, right? Lucas Meijs, indeed, professor on the philosophy of volunteering. And when we discussed, we thought it would be a kind of confrontation between, let's say, the academic world and the world of practitioners. So we decided to play games with you on that one. The first one is that I use really academic slides, alright? And academic slides have all these text, because students use the slides to learn the exam. Now luckily you will not have an exam, but you will see a lot of slides that I just easily skip, because now you can use them and they will be, I hopefully give it to you later on as a kind of more information than I even can say in 45 minutes, okay? So will not be surprised if you see a lot of text. The second experiment is that we just did something that we would never do with our students. Hand out 100 kazoos, alright? Because I once did something with inflating balloons, which was also terrible afterwards, but so. So don't take what Robert just said too serious. Yes, you're allowed to interrupt me, but if you use the kazoo, I'm not certain. Well, you'll see, alright? So let's start. Participation is allowed, but it's for your own risk. So, the story, I start a little bit with appetizers on the 4 countries here. If you understand correctly, Finland, Sweden, Italy, the Netherlands. Something I could find and did myself in participation in volunteering. Then we move very fast to, well, questions of civil society, volunteering, and then some final remarks, some statements and things like that. 45 minutes, are you ready? Because I try to speak as fast as Italians. We'll see. So, first, if we look at worldwide how the relation is between the non-profit sector, healthcare and things like that, and state, we can see 4 different kinds of non-profit regimes. As Selman Unheirer calls it, when they start doing the research on the relation between governments and non-profits. Are you ready now for this academic lecture? Okay, so looking at this one, we know that we now have 2 dominant kind of relations here in the room. The one in which there's a huge welfare state, but most of it is really done directly by real governmental organizations, as in controlled by the city council. And 2, where there is a rather large non-profit sector,
although maybe Italy is a little bit less, social welfare kind of thing than the Netherlands. But it's not done by governmental organizations, by officially independent organizations. That is an interesting kind of difference because it also tells you something about the volunteering and civil society. So civil society means independent organizations. If this one is complex now, be aware it will become more complex. But this will be at the end very clear. Secondly, there is a research done by the Gallup World Poll, what an interesting name, where they compare countries on their philanthropic behavior. Now, interesting, Myanmar, if I pronounce it correctly, is #1 already for the last 3 years, because they're so friendly to strangers, and they donate a lot. Or most people donate. But if you look at this one, you see there is a nice difference between the 4 countries. Okay. And I'm very sorry that Netherlands is on top on this one. Now, helping strangers. So the first one is the rank order, it is 200 something, and the second one is the percentage. I have the feeling my microphone drops out. Now it's better, right? So, remember the big difference in volunteering between, let's say, Sweden, Italy on one hand, and the Netherlands and Finland. I don't know about Finland, but I can tell you that in Sweden, it also really is that in many parts of society, except in sports and cultures, volunteering is not there. So it's supposed to be a lot less in healthcare and social services. Another one. We did a research just as a kind of appetizers on what do people see as volunteering. Okay? A question like, we asked all kinds of unpaid situations, let them rank 1 to 5. I thought it would be boring, alright? And we asked questions in Italy, top 10 situation. We asked questions in the Netherlands, top 10 situations. These are the slides that you get later on. Right? And then we can see something like differences. So for example, one way or another, maybe this explains why the Netherlands scores so high on volunteering compared to Italy. We see a lot more unpaid activities as volunteering. Although these things might be unpaid too in Italy, and I really don't know. We do see that people just have a very, very limited idea about what is volunteering, really helping ill, almost dying people, as far as we understood. While in the northern countries, like Sweden, like Finland, like Netherlands, being part of an association and being a volunteer or a board member at a sport association is seen as very, very important in volunteering. And most volunteers in these 3 countries will be in sports and not in healthcare. Healthcare, in fact, in the Netherlands ranks number 7 of the volunteering sectors. It might be strange for people in healthcare and that kind of things. It's important to remember if we talk about volunteering participation and we invite people to participate in our organizations, they might have total different ideas about what it is. So these are the appetizers. And the last one is that we do know that in liberal countries, US, UK, people see volunteering as unpaid labor. While in the Nordic countries, we see volunteering as active belonging to a community, being part of a community, of a small part of society. And sometimes this community is defined by religion. Okay, governments think that community is defined by zip code. But people define communities in a total different way. Remember that one, that's a very important theme in what I'm trying to tell today. That there is a clash between how governments perceive communities and how people perceive communities, or how municipalities is not the same as the word community. And what that means, if you talk about things like community care, you know, if you perceive community differently and call different people part of the community, it's already a confusing word. Am I still in the same planet, Robert? More or less, alright. Good. So, a little bit about myself. We have a small research group looking at volunteer management and how businesses are involved in society. And we try to influence policy on everything around civil society. So today is my policy day, alright? This is just teasing people to find out what are we talking about. That's me. Do a lot, and I like to be one of my favorite volunteer jobs, I could not be there today. Watch the TV for the Dutch this evenings. We just opened our 50th restaurant for Hachter today. Queen Maxima did. So you understand the sacrifice I made? Otherwise I would have had dinner with her, but okay. I'd rather be here because so that's restaurants to fight loneliness. Just as Robert is proud of his PhD, this is my current PhD student. This is Lonneke, who knows everything about the relation between for-profits and non-profits. And Pamela, if you really want to know about global philanthropy, she just wrote this prize-winning book on philanthropy traditions, donating money in different countries. So this is about enough about praise and about me. Now we move to the topic of civil society. Okay? And civil society, to be honest, is really a very, very important topic if you think about providing healthcare, social services, etc., etc. Not only because civil society can add, let's say, resources to what we're doing, but mostly because most things happen in this civil society. First of all, because civil society is nothing more than just the brought together kind of thing of non-profits, right? Which basically are defined as independent, so not government, organizations without a profit orientation. Generally spoken, associations, foundations as legal forms, right? And the interesting difference between countries here present is the size of civil society. So the Dutch civil society is rather large and starts somewhere 1500 whatever. But one way or another we have a fight with the Spanish king. But there are no Spaniards here, is it? No. So, what's the concept? The idea is you're a private citizen and you're living in your private arena. Be aware that private and public is a different kind of concept now. And your private arena is your own household, right? And one way or another you have an issue. Let's say you're hungry. There's no hunger there. So if you're hungry, the first thing you do, or you need healthcare, is you try to solve it yourself. But one way or another, you can do everything yourself. So you have to go outside of your private arena, into what we call the public domain. And in this public domain, there are three solutions. The easiest one is the market, where you just have a transaction between two people. I need food, you have food, I pay you. Right? And you hand me over the food. That's the market transaction. Right? And it's also there in healthcare, in social welfare, and all kinds of things. And people, one way or another, like to solve their issues in this way. But, and it's a very simple way by train, right? I mean, if you're managing a local food store, your life is quite simple. You have two kinds of people. You have customers and thieves. Right? You don't have hungry people. You don't have needy people. You just have customers and thieves. But the world is much more complex, because there might be a lot of people who, one way or another, cannot buy themselves what they need in healthcare, even after they've been insured, or in food, or in raising kids, or whatever. And then one way or another, they need a transfer of people who have to the people who cannot afford to do themselves. And that transfer is based on solidarity. Okay? So the idea that one way or another, we have to be also helping others who one way or another, by bad luck, whatever kind of thing, cannot provide for themselves. And there are two ways of this solidarity. And there again, the big difference between the four countries becomes very important. The first one is what we call indirect solidarity. So, solidarity organized through government, in which we all pay involuntary taxes, and we can also have involuntary social work, it's called the social army kind of thing, alright? So obligated work. And then, one way or another, with whom we are performing this solidarity is decided upon by the majority of our elected systems. Okay. Vague enough? That's what we call politics, alright? And it is extremely efficient. There is no fundraiser so efficient as the tax service. Might be a little different in Italy, but in the 3 other countries, that's the most extreme, efficient way of fundraising, raising taxes. But the legitimacy of this taxation and with whom we are solidarity, with whom we want to support, is diminishing. The second system is what we call direct solidarity, in which people themselves make a decision with whom they are supporting, with whom they will be supporting, with whom they will give food, who they will help, for which cause they will volunteer, for which cause they will donate. Now direct solidarity is not so efficient. It's very difficult to fundraise. It costs a lot of money, a lot of effort. But it's very strong based on legitimacy, because people make the decision themselves. Now, if you look at this one, there are 2 very promising overlaps. The first one is this overlap between governments subsidizing all these non-profits. That's a traditional Dutch situation. The Swedish and Finnish situation is that these organizations are very in the government environment and not in this overlap. The second interesting overlap is the overlap of social enterprises. But then if we look from the provision of social services and healthcare, it might be that it's just too much market. So the new developments, at least in the Netherlands, is that one way or another, the clash is that in this overlap of independent organizations, official independent organizations, and government funding, the government funding is retreating, and the independent organizations are trying to go back to their constituencies, to their roots, and go back to civil society. And that creates 2 things. First, they gain a lot. If you really can make the move to the local community, to the local civil society, to the local involvement, you gain a lot of inputs, of resources, of additional volunteers, of additional money. But you also lose a little bit. You lose a little bit like the objective control on quality. Because one way or another, these people that give you something want to see something else in return. They have their own ideas what you're supposed to do. So now the interesting thing is, can we achieve a big gain? If you look at what civil society produces, and we'll return on that later on, it produces diversity. This might be a very Dutch story, okay? It's very interesting. If you look at the Netherlands, and I have no idea about Sweden and Finland and Italy, but if you look at the Netherlands, the discourse seems to be that when you're 75 and old and needy, you all get the same services. You all get the same treatment. That's what you're supposed to get, that's your right, but it's also a little bit like the limit. Now, that's an interesting thing, because till you get that services, till you get that old, the most important thing we try to do is to have a better life than our neighbors. And one way or another, when you're old, when you're needy, it stops. You all get the same kind of treatment. That's interesting, because people are now looking to also have a different life, a better life, and they define themselves better, okay? That might be more religious, might be more fun, might be Frans Bauer, might be opera, who knows? But they define themselves what is different. And one way or another, the homogeneity of the government funding and of objective quality prevents the subjective quality of the civil society. But if you want to provide, for example, music therapy, that would be a hell of a job to get it by government in all things in the Netherlands. It's simply not going to happen very fast. If you want to introduce music therapy, you need the freedom of civil society organizations, of boards of organizations, that one way or another can attract extra resources in the local communities and say, hey, music therapy works. We trust it. Our people like it. Let's make a difference. Because the whole story is not about having one kind of quality level. And let's hope the quality level is high, right? So the difference in story is also, can we allow for diversity in our care organizations, in our social welfare organizations? Because people one way or another are not the same. And I'm not talking cultural diversity, right? I'm just talking about our diversity. We don't want to drive all the same car. We want to listen to different music, etc. So that's a major challenge. Volunteering, civil society, participation is not about just having extra resources. It's also about creating diversity, differences between organizations, between healthcare providers. And people want to choose. Also, if they don't pay themselves, that's the big difference, of course, in the market. In a market, you can choose. In these two other functions, as a client, you cannot choose. But you still want to. And that's where civil society makes a difference. Of course, there's also a problem. It's just not efficient as government. And we run the risk of particularism. The reason that the idea that you only serve a certain group that is the same as you. So for the Dutch, the reason why we have soccer associations that play on Saturday and soccer associations that play on Sunday, and huge differences in that. And why we have, for example, in Rotterdam, now at this moment, 16 different student associations. It's highly inefficient. But one way or another, they exactly can tell you what's the difference between the 16. I don't know if we see it, Robert, but it's an interesting one. And they like it, all right? Paternalism. Well, that's of course also in the government in many cases. But paternalism is very important because one way or another we also want to tell people. So, do you know this organization? It's an American one. And it started several years ago when Caroline Leitner, her daughter, is hit by a car and dies because she was a drunk driver. And she starts an organization called MAD. And MAD is a very, very efficient, effective fundraiser. And what MAD does is they pay local sheriffs, they give them alcohol tests. Okay? And they tell them you have to be smart, sizable, measurable, attainable, reachable, timeable. So you get 500 of these things from us, and we want to see 200 fines in the next 3 months. So people have a little idea that this is a bit weird. You ask for private money to give other private citizens a fine. And they start an organization, a counter-organization called DAM. And there are 2 DAMs. The first one is Drivers Against Bad Methods. They think it's just weird. Who pays voluntarily to someone else, give them a fine? But the second one is even more amusing. Now, I think the second one is now regaining political ambition with Trump being there, but we'll see what happens, all right? That might be possible. But if you do not like this, do not talk about civil society, all right? Let me give another example that you had in a classroom where I have my students inventing a non-profit organization, volunteering and things like that. And a group of students comes with the idea of a social enterprise. In the Rotterdam area we have a lot of pigeons walking around and people see it as a kind of nuisance, alright? So they invent a non-profit organization that will have volunteers who like to shoot the pigeons. Okay? Kill them. On the block and things like that. So in the break, a group of students comes to me and says, we have to do something. And they invent the organization that will give these pigeons political asylum in the city of The Hague. We had a whole year of just very funny infights. So, please, civil society is about this kind of energy. And this kind of energy makes this kind of organizations vibrant, but also difficult to control. Because the people of DAM, especially the second one, if you go to the website, it's not a funny website, right? It's a funny website, but you understand what I mean, it's not a funny website, right? It's not a friendly website, sorry. So, but this is the fun. This is why we have so many different soccer associations, music players, and things like that. Because people like this competition, not only of winning soccer, but also that my soccer association is more beautiful than your soccer association. But if it all was government, they would all be the same. So that's the story of volunteering, participation, and civil society. If we talk about social involvement in welfare, there are 4 discourses. This is from Hilger, a Finnish guy, and used the dissertation of Van der Bos when he writes about volunteering. It's a Dutch one. And there are 4 different discourses around the use of volunteers in a society. Okay? The first one is really about, can we use volunteers in service provision and make it cheaper or better? Okay? That's the current, more or less, discourse, because we have this austerity, this reduction of governmental money. The second one is really a democracy discourse in which we talk about the rights of patients, the rights of clients, the rights of citizens to challenge government, to have an idea that is different. Right? And the first one talks about people that can do something. The second one gives rights to everybody to participate. The economy is really the idea about volunteering can help you to find a better job and give you skills and things like that. So a very instrumental perspective of volunteering. That, for example, in the Netherlands, we see in the tegenprestatie, sorry for the Dutch, you're working for the dole, for your welfare benefit. Right? And we really see the idea that you should also make yourself economically viable. And the last one is much more about the idea that you're living together in a certain kind of neighborhood, and you're having fun, you work together, and everybody's supposed to be participating. These 4 are continuously balancing. And as a welfare, social, healthcare provider, you really have to think, what kind of discourse about volunteering do we use? Because you always say, oh, volunteers are great. You're not using their power. Okay? That's too simple to say volunteers are great. Now you really have to think, why are they great for our organization? Is it cutting cost? Is it improving quality? Is it giving people the right to participate? What is it? But then, of course, the other story is, does civil society provide the same kind of services as government or for-profits? 4 small anecdotes. The first one, left corner up, is what we see now happening all around Europe, where public libraries, government-funded libraries, are closing, and people start to have their own street library, or as citizens take over the library as volunteers. Okay? So government is not funding anymore the libraries, but citizens take over. But then the library changes totally. The governmental funded library, as far as I know literature, is a library in which we as taxpayers do think books should return. So it's a library based on distrust, mistrust, where in many cases someone is just stamping this book or putting them in a kind of machine and tells you they must be returned in 3 weeks, otherwise you pay a fine. Now if we move to this civil society libraries, they suddenly become libraries, for example in Rotterdam, where it's like, well, if you like the book, you keep it. But the books are only the books that people have donated, understanding that they might not be returned. So instead of a mistrust environment, we go to a trust environment. But there's of course also a risk. What do you think is the biggest risk? What is what you lose in this kind of libraries? Who dares? Let's see who's awake. So what does a public library have, which a civil society library simply does not have? Control over what? Correct. Control over the collection of the books, not the kind of books you have. Right? This might be a very Dutch example, but for example, in the Netherlands we have these religious people that one way or another, if they rent a book, get a book from the library, they sketch certain words, right? Which they find appealing or whatever. But they have to return the book. And then the government replaces the books again, right? Now, I'm a little bit certain that it's a hypothesis, right? We have not researched it yet, but I think there must be volunteers coming out to Staphorst, for the Dutch, which now go all around the Netherlands and getting 50 Shades of Grey out of these civil societies, alright? And not returning them. But the other way around, we do know from research in the UK that the book that is donated the most to civil society libraries is, take a guess, 50 Shades of Grey, yes. So several civil society libraries are just filled with 50 Shades of Grey. Because in a public funded library you can control that, alright? If you think the civil society solution to everything, no, it's not. But okay. Second one, we now have a lot of public transport systems which are taken over by volunteers. And the interesting thing is that these are the bus systems, and probably also here in Zeeland, where people are not in the bus anymore, okay? And one way or another, politician thinks that it's fun for a volunteer to drive with an empty bus. It's weird, alright? Empty buses is useless work to be paid, correct? That's what I always tell bankers, that's why they get these huge bonuses, but okay. So something changes, and they become buses that you call and things like that. But then, that's interesting for your environment, the notion of quality changes. What we see is that if you call a taxi with a paid driver, and the driver comes too soon, too early, people just think, well, he's too early. And they in many cases will not come too early because they hope they have other customers. The volunteer bus services always come way too early. Because these volunteers, it's their pride, they will not come too late. But the clients get very nervous. Oh, the volunteers are already there. It's interesting how the relation between paid people and clients and volunteers and clients is not the same. The other ones, Attentie buurtpreventie, sorry for the Dutch, these are the group of volunteers, neighborhood watch, that walks around. And we have a very interesting one in our neighborhood. They walk around the neighborhood and they check if there are criminals or whatever. They walk very slow because one of them is in a wheelchair, but that's something else. But they're interesting, because one thing is that you have to say hello to them if you meet them. Because if you don't do that, you really run the risk that they will not check on your house. Which of course is different to the police. I hope so, alright? Secondly, you ask them to hand out a kind of leaflet to the people in the neighborhood that there is a problem with your houses and that thieves have found out how they can easily come in all these same houses. They will do that, but they will skip all these people that don't say hello to them. And they probably will give this leaflet to the nephew living 200 miles away, but that they see as part of the community. So for the government, the community is a zip code. For them, the community is everybody they love, they like, and they exclude the ones that don't say hello. And it's very strong. Right? But it gives a lot of resources, because they walk around every evening. Doesn't matter if it rains or whatever. Okay. So, civil society. Now, two short things to finish. In the civil society there are three types of organizations, and I wanted to say this and thought about, let's do it, because you as service delivery organizations might tend to forget the two other kinds. So the easy one is the service provider, in which one way or another you have a client outside, right? Someone in need, and they come to you and you help them. Volunteers also very simple. It's Meals on Wheels, it's restaurants, it's food banks, Doctors Without Borders. There is an external client. That's the easy one, okay? And you can get volunteers to participate in your organization. The two others, which one way or another we find difficult to attract or to combine with our organizations, are the so-called mutual support. Organizations where people come together because they share a kind of characteristic. So the first one, you are helped if you drink too much, okay? And what you drink and how much alcohol you have will be cured, one way or another. This one is the AA. But there's no way you can participate in the AA without being what yourself? Correct. That's an important kind of thing. And if you would try to help someone in an AA and say, well, I've never drunk myself, you're just not a professional. Right? So professionalism there is basically something totally different. And one way or another even seem to think that the one who plays the best soccer also must be the chairman of the soccer association, which not always works. And for the Dutch, this is the Amsterdam Boegnozen organization. There's also an Amsterdam Krijtler Club. Alright? And every month they drive around on their mopeds and still do as if they are 18. Yes. The third one is the organization that gives voice to people. Alright? These are our client participation organizations. And if you want to involve, let's say, people in your institution, do not only think about service deliveries, of volunteers taking over a little bit of your task, but also understand that you have mutual support, self-help, and you have these campaigners, these people that give voice to people, right? Like the Greenpeaces or whatever. And to be honest, these are a little bit difficult to understand. If you would be not in healthcare or things like that, but in animal rights, I would have taken different shoes, because these are leather, and with leather shoes, you would not accept me at all if you would be from animal rights, right? And I still believe professional volunteering, but okay. So, how are you going to buy these things? What are these things? You know, what is a church? And how do you combine? And how do you get these different people in one organization? That's a challenge. But this is the energy that's going around. Now, for time's sake, if we talk about civil society, and reading on that one, the civil society of mutual supports is a civil society that creates trust, that creates social capital. And talking about social capital, where's the Italian group there? Have you ever read Making Democracy Work? Please do. It's a beautiful study about the difference between Northern Italy and Southern Italy. Totally explained why Northern Italy functions according to Putnam due to civil society and the lack of civil society in the southern part. It's a beautiful book. Got me awake for about 5 days, because it was so well written, till I finally found out it took me 10 years and a team of 25 researchers to write it. 5 minutes? Oh, well, alright. Different words. In the campaigning part, we talk about NGOs, and the other one is much more like the NPOs. So you're a little bit in between the market and the civil society. You know this one? The mother mafia. The mother mafia. These are the mothers that control the entrance to the class of the primary school, whereas Dutch parents, you're supposed to do a lot of volunteer work, right? But they control the entrance, and they make certain that the mother mafia gets the best jobs. The others can be lease mother. That's a Dutch famous volunteering kind of thing in which you control if the kids have leases on them. Yeah, right? That's a. Even the Queen, by the way, has been a volunteer lease mother, right? So you're in good part. But everybody has their own control kind of thing. And we have to be really, really careful for that. Let me give an example out of your environment. Years ago, this is about 15 years ago, they luckily stopped with it. If you would become a volunteer with a crisis line, so people can call and you talk to them, all right? That kind of volunteering on hotline, the crisis line. As a new volunteer, you would get the night shifts. And just after 5 years, you'll be allowed to choose your own shift. That's not of the 2000s anymore, all right? People are not willing to accept it anymore. No way. So, what is your job? We're going to see, and it's going to take another 4 minutes, volunteering not only as just volunteering, but as a translation of volunteer energy into volunteering. And your obligation as professional paid staff organizations is to maintain the resource base of volunteer energy. It's a very important civil society answer. It's a very important CSR, corporate social responsibility kind of assignment for you. Maintain the support base of local citizens. Do not trust politicians to translate that one. Create your own resource base. So we saw volunteering as a kind of natural resource and asked ourselves the question, is it repeatable just like the tragedy of the commons? I'll spare you all the academic stories. But it's a little bit like, how much grass can be grown? How much volunteering can we have? And then we see 3 different kinds of volunteer energy. The traditional one is the volunteer that comes always, and that we use as if it's a kind of oil. The second one is a kind of volunteer that is defined as something else. We define it as fishing. We call it hyphenated volunteering. And just 2 examples. You have corporate volunteering, in which people come from a company, or school volunteering. And my most favorite one, single volunteers. Any idea what single volunteering is? No? Volunteering is a dating activity. Right. So where you have singles that volunteer together. And at the end, of course, you organize a party and things like that. And the last one is spontaneous eruptions of volunteer energy. If there is a disaster worldwide, people will come. And we're not prepared. And I think it's very common all around Europe that refugee organizations were not prepared for all the people that want to help. They were not prepared for all the refugees coming, but they were also not prepared for all these people that suddenly were willing to help. So basically what they did, their resource base, people willing to help, people willing to donate time and money, they just sent away. Before they were complaining people were not willing to help. It's just an observation, right? Because they were not prepared for so many people who wanted to do something. That's a challenge. What are we going to do if suddenly at your doorstep a lot of people come and say, we want to help? Are you going to send them away, or are you prepared for these unexpected spontaneous eruptions of volunteering? So, the 4 things for the discussion. 5, sorry. First, I think you should try to find out, and I will tell one anecdote if Robert allows me, that volunteering and family participation, whatever, is not only about saving costs. It's also about creating a different kind of quality. We just saw this picture of this robot, the buddy one. Now we're doing research on the difference between paid people doing friendly visiting and volunteers doing friendly visiting. And we now saw, we have a new one, the robot doing friendly visiting. Right? And friendly visiting is just coming to someone and drink coffee. Now if that's a volunteer, then the relation is a little bit tension kind. What can I say to this volunteer? Will he or she return next week? Yes or no? Okay. Can I ask him to get me apple pie? But if it's a paid one visiting you, it really depends where the money comes from. If the money comes from an insurance company or from government, we're sure, at least in the Netherlands, that in about 10 meetings it should be over, your loneliness. We're not going to pay for 20 years of visiting, right? So you know the volunteer maybe comes till you die. But the paid one, which you don't pay yourself, and in number 5 it will be out to family. But the other way, if you pay the one that comes to you yourself, it will go like, I want apple pie. No, not from that bakery, from that one. Oh, you have to buy a little more? It's your problem, I pay you. Right. Which of course you would never say to the volunteer thing. You would say, would you please bring apple pie tomorrow? I know that you have to buy a little bit further, but I like that apple pie better. Right? So it's a kind of different production of relation. Non-profit healthcare providers must take a strategic decision how to balance government, market, and civil society possibilities. I have them copied several. Healthcare institutions should have a strategy to grow the philanthropic input. Do not trust for the longer run the government, alright? If you want to help serve your community, your clients, go for philanthropic input. Ask for it. Healthcare system in Europe will always be different from each other. Also because, I mean, look back at the philanthropic scores of different countries, and the traditions, and the diversity in the Netherlands based on religion, and the non-diversity traditionally in the Nordic countries. And the last one. Well, that's a question for you. What do you think? Will it become more or less important in your healthcare provision? Robert, I'm finished.
Thank you very much. We'll come back to these 5 hypotheses, questions, discussion points in our workshops. So leave that for this moment. But if there are questions on the other things,
who knows? Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? Who wants to ask a question to the guys?
Yeah. Maybe you can use the thing to ask a question. I can try to understand what you're saying.
For our friends from the other countries, was this a typical Dutch lecture, or did you recognize things in your own country about voluntary work? I'm curious.
Can you flip back to the last slide, please? Where you had the 4 different types, oil fish. No. Oh, never mind. There was a slide where you talked about people wanting to help, volunteers, wanting to be volunteers, but they couldn't be. And you made me think of, I don't know if it's voluntary or not, but you made me think of the terror attack we just had in Stockholm. And an awful lot of people actually wanting to help, but not being allowed.
Yep.
And eventually they did something, they did this big concert and voluntary work around that. So it can also be something that really involves a whole country.
Yeah. No, I mean, what we see
Would that
is,
be voluntary in your
yes.
way of thinking?
Well, how we would call it now is that people are offering volunteer energy. Okay? But if you don't use it volunteer energy, it's just wasted. And you have to translate it in volunteering, because otherwise it will feel very frustrated. Let me give an example out of your arena. We had something called Tante Kwebbel. I cannot translate it. This is the auntie that lives in your neighborhood and everybody knows. Right? And the idea was that by your phone, you would register yourself as a volunteer. And if there was and people were lonely or had a problem, whatever, would send a WhatsApp or a text message to a system that would start sending out messages to people. And then someone would say, I can help out and volunteer. And the example message they gave was, I'm in my home with a broken leg, my thing in the kitchen falls down, who can come in and create, by the way, the key is outside under the flowers, alright? So we found out that about 200 people registered themselves as potential volunteer, so made themselves available, start producing volunteer energy, but nobody asked for help. And the rhythm was a little bit like that. I mean, maybe once every 5 years you would get, if you calculate it, that's a waste of volunteer energy, right? Now, this story tells you that you will know that there will be lots, if something happens, people will start producing volunteer energy. And we complain always that people are not willing to help, not willing to do. But once they're willing, we must be able as organizations to translate this volunteer energy into volunteering. So your example is really where they found a way of translating this commitment, this willingness to help, into indeed doing something. Because otherwise, you just send them home. You know? It's a waste. If they were paid, imagine what it would mean if 5,000 people that you pay show up at your office and you have nothing for them to do. What kind of difficult discussion you would have. But one way now, you send them off, the taxpayers and things like that.
Okay, I think we'll leave it here because we're going to our workshops.
If that's somewhere else, yes.
Yeah, that's somewhere else, and you will master that again. We have a 15 minutes break. Coffee and tea on the corners you know by now. And see you back then with Lucas, with an excellent lecture in the workshop. Welcome back for the last part of this afternoon. As I already mentioned, we'll be finishing at 5. Because we know that some of you want to have a little tour, perhaps visit the beach. You never know. So, a final wrap up. I saw some fierce discussions and debates, and I saw some international barriers around language, ideas and concepts. Interesting enough, I heard, but let's start there. With this last question, I was surprised to hear, but that's saying something about me, not about you. I was surprised to hear that the voluntary care in Sweden is going down. And I was surprised about it, because the trends in our lands are going up by necessity, because the governance funds are diminishing, the insurance funds decreasing, the money flows to institutions, so they have to use volunteers to get it up and running all the time. So I was surprised. And then I heard even another lesson, which was new to me. But if Swedes do voluntary work, particularly not in care for the elderly, but perhaps in the schools or in childcare. That was new to me. So someone of the Swedes want to reflect on this one. So we are starting with the last discussion point here. Could you someone give some reflection about this last one in the Swedish country?
I didn't quite get what you said last.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
We're all getting tired. It's very late.
Well, one of the interesting observations that we heard is, and we know, is that what people do in certain countries as volunteers really differs. Okay. While some countries volunteers are a lot in all kinds of healthcare, especially if you go to places where there are even no hospitals, read Africa, read Asia, that's a lot of volunteering and that kind of things. But in the Nordic countries, Sweden and Finland, it's almost not there. And if I understand correctly, in Finland, the idea as volunteers in hospitals, with the research for students worldwide in 15 countries, the question, what do you do as a volunteer? And American male students volunteer a lot in hospitals. Finnish male students do not volunteer in hospitals. First explanation could be the American male students are feminine. They're not, of course. You're supposed to volunteer in hospitals. And you're not allowed to volunteer in a hospital in Finland. That's what we understood there. Of course, it would be interesting if you're an American student goes to Finland on exchange and wants to volunteer. Where would he go to? To a hospital. What would his conclusion be? Finnish people do not volunteer. Which is not true. Because where Americans don't volunteer, is in sport associations. Because they don't have sport associations. They have sport clubs connected to schools. Parents are involved but in fundraising, not in organizing the sports. While in Netherlands, Sweden, Finland, parents, volunteers are involved in organizing the sports. So that kind of differences, which can be culturally based, which can be legally based, really influence the kind of discussions. As we spoke about scouting, but it's something else.
Scouting is also a nice example. I was a member of a scouting club.
Boys and Girl Scouts. Okay.
Boys and Girl Scouts. I started at 7. And in the Dutch variant of scouting, you grow up in this organization, you become a scout leader yourself. If you get 17 or 18 or 19, and you become the teacher of the new scouting leaders. And so, growing up within the association. But in other countries, these volunteers are other people. In India, it's the headmaster of the schools who are running the scouting clubs. In countries like the USA, it are the parents who are running the scouting club, even though they wouldn't have been the scouts themselves when they were little. So the type of volunteers, even in scouting, which is an international concept, in word and I think in experience quite the same anywhere, there are different people doing this role of the volunteer.
And in Turkey, the military are doing scouting. As part of that job, or as a side job, or as corporate volunteering out of the military perspective. So, and they do all the same kind of activities, right? But different kind of volunteers. That makes the discussion so complicated. Okay, number 5.
There we are. Okay. Other observations about this last number 5 statement. What happened in the group? Is there someone who wants to join in? Please help us. Yeah, there. I run to you with my mic. This is looking nice. This is what I want. Yes.
Well, we talked about the last statement, and the people from Italy, they think in Italy it will, the family participation will become less in the future, especially in the cities, but they think that because they think the government is developing things for that, but still in the little villages, it depends on the family. And I think we see that here in Holland as well, that in the social community in villages are much more, how do you say it? Close than in cities, yeah. And yeah, here we also thought that people don't like to depend on others, and we were thinking about, is that a cultural difference, or is it, yeah, where does it come from? That here the elderly people don't like to ask for help.
And would that differ to ask help from a professional instead of asking help from a volunteer?
I think the difference is mainly between a professional or family. I think people don't like to ask a family.
It could harm the the family relationships, perhaps.
Yeah, and they don't want to burden them. How do you say it?
Something to comment on, I think, Lucas. Do you recognize this point that there's a kind of barrier to burden your social, your family ties when giving help and services?
You have to help me now in translating this in English. Wat is het verschil in Engels tussen vraagverlegenheid en handelingsverlegenheid? Because I'm not. So, I mean, people are hesitant to ask and people are hesitant to act, alright? And there's a hesitation to ask for help, which really is larger if you ask it to your family members than if you ask it to a professional. But the problem is a little bit who pays the professional, alright? It's very easy to say you don't ask it to family members if someone else pays the professional. Because then it's also a little about whose resources are we going to use. Our own family resources, asking my kids, or the resources that donated, given by the community. Now, give economic choice, you would also always choose for someone else paying it, or doing it, you know? If you can get it developed for free from the community, why would you burden your kids with the resources, or sell your own house and do it? So the equation is also a little bit skewed by that you can outsource who's going to carry the burden. So yes, you prefer also an outside volunteer than your family members. Now, of course, the second thing we know from research on the Zonnebloem, on friendly visiting, is you don't want to burden the conversation with your kids, if they come once in a while, about all your private problems. That's what you discuss with this volunteer that comes every week, because you don't have family ties. So also the conversation with the volunteer is much more about your problems, or with your kids you smile, alright? That kind of things.
Oh, that's nice. Something else in your group? Still about the last one, perhaps, or not?
No.
The first statement, okay.
Robert, shall I add something about this acting shyness?
Yeah, shy. Okay. Yeah, that's the translation. Yeah.
So a lot of what we see is, we did a research on grown-ups, adults, are we going to act if we see something happening on the street with a kid? Right? And the story is that till the 50s, 60s in the Netherlands, adults on the street would do something. But then they got this acting kind of shyness based on two things. Am I allowed to do this? Am I capable of doing this? And what we see now is by moving them from just being an adult to a volunteer with a job title, they certainly have a right to do it because they volunteer with Start or with home service or whatever. And they have a certain kind of training or feeling till that far my professionalism goes. So volunteers at sport associations do a lot of interventions with kids to a certain limit because they're a volunteer, they're the master of the team. Other parents do not because they don't feel they're allowed to intervene. That also might be a cultural difference. Okay? What are you going to do if you see in a supermarket this 2-year-old getting in a tantrum, lying on the floor and asking for candies? Are you going to tell the other mother, like, this is what you're supposed to do, or do you think, whoa? That also might be a huge cultural difference because in the Netherlands you would turn away. As far as we know, in France you would just hit them, but that's the story, right?
The parents.
Also the non-parents, yeah.
I thought hit the parents.
Yeah, no, not parents, the kids. But there volunteering makes a difference instead of informal kind of things.
Yeah, and I was also thinking about in the Netherlands there's a debate. We discussed the thing that it depends on the type of activities. which one is voluntary, which one is professional. In the Netherlands, because of budget cuts, we talk about substitution, that is meaning transferring the task from a professional, substituted by a task of an informal caregiver or a volunteer. So the professional doesn't do it anymore, and the volunteer has to do it. And we got newspaper headings. Should the neighbor wash your ash? Something like that in harsh translation. Because it really went that way, that far. We don't do it anymore as home helps. Ask your neighbors, your family or whatever. Should my neighbor do my washing? Wash me. Oh. And then we came to our senses, but that happens. And also, there was a nursing home in the midst of our country 2 years ago. Well, we can take care of your mother. We can consider that. She may live with us. But then we want you to see performing tasks in this home 2 hours, 4 hours a week. So it became an economic trait. We will take care of your parent. She can't live any longer at her own home, so she's welcome in our nursing home. But the trait is that you, as a family member or a partner, has to perform tasks in our institution.
What I found interesting in the discussion is that you were, as far as I understood, not allowed to just pay more. Which is weird. Okay? One way or another, we value this time higher than you just. What?
There's no legislation about it.
Well, I mean, you could send someone else.
It's not legally forbidden.
No,
Sometimes family buy a little bit of extra help on their behalf.
I know, but in this case it was just so it was not in the paper as a kind of offer.
No, that's true. No.
Which I find weird, you know? Weird.
But I think there's a state of mind in the public, and I understand that it in Sweden and Finland it's even more, because we pay a lot of taxes, so the state should provide for nursing care.
But it also means one way or another, even if you're rich, you're in the same kind of terrible or good situation, you know? That's weird. Why would you accept that you don't pay more? And it's not a value judgment. It's very interesting that people are just. I think.
That's the egalitarian perspective you have, especially in Sweden and Nordic countries. We're all equal. We all pay the same. Huh? Some are more equal than others. Yeah. But you think we're going the other way?
Yeah, I think the policy in the end will be that people who have the money will pay for it, because it's coming an enormous amount of old people, and I don't think we can provide it, so people who have the money shall pay for it.
So they'll organize it on their own.
And it's not a political statement, but I think that's the way it will be.
This is a question also for the other councillors. I think that this movement comes from two ways, okay? Let me give the Dutch example. There's a small town called Austerlitz. That's next to a bigger city called Zeist. And Austerlitz is more or less posh area of Zeist, okay? And Zeist already is posh, as in rich. And in Austerlitz, some people come together and they want to prepare, if you become old, that you have a nice place to live together and healthcare. And they go to the healthcare providers in Zeist and the social housing providers and ask them, can you arrange for us in Austerlitz? And the answer is, no, it's not efficient. If you're old, you move from Austerlitz to Zeist. The movement is the other way around too. They just simply refuse. The idea that someone who's paid by your taxes tells you have to move from Austerlitz to Zeist is just offensive to them. Pool the resources and set up a house in Austerlitz. And refuse to talk anymore to people in Zeist. Now, well, the question is this happening in other countries too?
Is this happening in other countries also?
The movement
you have to
of
move from
small
one
groups.
city to another to get your help? No.
Both yes and no. But what happens in Sweden, not so much in the elderly care, but the care of younger disabled people, is that we can't provide the care in the actual community, meaning we have to buy it from other places. But then again, I also think that the market will change and that will eventually have other people running what we do in municipal care, which has to do that we have a sort of maximum fee system, an act for that. And as long as that one stays, it will only be the market that will take take over the care, because we can't sell more, even if we wanted to, or have the resources to do it. So there are some acts that aren't quite up to date, I think.
Do you want to comment?
Yeah, in some cases, in Finland, people move to a municipality to another to gain more services or better quality. As a deputy mayor, I get sometimes calls from another part of the country, and people are asking what should they do to get their parents into Tampere and 24 hours care home, for example.
Okay.
So sometimes it happens. It's not common, but sometimes.
Okay, interesting.
It's also not common yet in the Netherlands.
Is this a good trend, or do you see some risks here?
Well, it might be an economic risk for a city.
For the receiving municipality.
Yeah. But well, on a national level, it might be good that the services would be more concentrated in the big cities.
Why that?
Because providing the services at the rural area where the distances are longer, it's very expensive.
Okay. Economies of scale in larger cities?
Oh yeah. And then sometimes we can offer better quality in bigger units or in a city area than smaller units at the
But then, of course,
remote places.
the second question comes, do these small municipalities fundraise themselves, as this town did, for having a better hospital?
Can you repeat?
Okay, this town Vlissingen,
In combination with the third statement.
Because I would, if I was living in a small town, say something, well, then we fundraise ourselves more.
Yeah, well, the Finnish system is different because the state provides the smaller municipalities with the funding for the services. So
could be an extra income for your municipality to raise private funds.
Perhaps, but
so who can tell the story of Vlissingen Hospital?
In the present system, not very much. Yeah.
Okay. I look around, Lucas. I think we're near closing time here. The energy is gone a little bit. Final comments. Annie, would you want to add something or have an observation? Yeah.
In our group, we were from Sweden, Finland, and the Netherlands. I keep it short. And you see, if we don't change in that countries, no, start. We think it's positive for the society, personal and environment, that it's good to work together and to do voluntary work. There must change the rules. I think in the Netherlands we try to change working together, helping each other, etc. And I think in Sweden and in Finland we had a discussion that there's a lot of rules, labor union, governmental agreements, companies who don't want to give that hand it over to voluntary work. So there must be done a lot on high level in the country to arrange that we can work more voluntarily.
So some huge barriers caused by government. Is that my phrasing? Okay. Thank you very much for this insight. Others? No, is there something to bring in?
No, it was the same as...
What's the same?
No, the same, I was in the same group.
You were in the same group, okay.
Yes.
And the summary is correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Shortly, to the last point is that it asks that will the volunteering become more important? At least it's naturally gonna increase because of the baby boomers retiring. They are still in a very good shape, want to do something. Comes to the discussion yesterday to the happiness that you want to
be part of the community, and I don't know if the volunteer organizations are ready for it yet, that there will be more volunteers.
More
coming.
resources, basically, yeah. That is a good point.
Just a question to the Italian group. I mean, looking at growth potential of volunteers, you would expect Italy to grow. Because on the other side, higher rates of volunteering already. Okay? That just seems to be logic.
What's the question?
What's the answer for Italy? What do you think? Will it become more or less? What's the idea?
More volunteers in Italy in the future or less?
We do more. Yeah,
And
but
why?
we had two different, because I was with Katia,
Yeah.
and we think that the volunteer resources will increase in the future, and they were in another group and they had just the opposite. So
was there a divide between North and South Italy?
no, it's the same country.
Okay. And what are the trends then behind that? Because here, as he said, the volume of people available grows. That was also Lucas' point. Do you recognize that one?
Yes, but we also add, we think an important part that we think that these system, these resources will increase, but it's important to create new synergy, new cooperation, because we have, at least in our city, in our region, a lot of association groups, institutions who work who gather different groups of volunteers, but there is lack of someone that bring
Connecting
together.
that,
Yeah.
It's all in the silos, there's no connection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Great point. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our first day is coming to an end. But that can't be finalized before we give a big hand to Lucas and thank him for his contribution to this brilliant conference. Also for you, this basket of happiness. A basket of happiness, this is. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's 5 o'clock. We're expected to be back here for the dinner, which will start with a little reception of you at around between 6:30 and 7:15, and the dinner starts at 7. There are buses available, so you can refresh at your hotel. You can do whatever you like in this 1.5 hour, but you have to leave this room because all these volunteers, paid or unpaid, help us to reorganize this to get prepared for the dinner. I hope you had a good first day. We'll see each other back again at dinner.